Here we have a bunch of 3 3/4 inch O-ring action figures from Heavy Armor Toys. I haven't covered any of these on the channel yet, but I've actually meant to. Just things have gotten so busy and other things pop in and take priority, and I'm actually been kind of disappointed that I hadn't gotten to these. So we're going to be doing a pretty large video today, so I hope you stick around. We're going to be talking about all the figures and their current Kickstarter that's up there, and just let's look at these figures because these are actually overall pretty decent figures. You're going to hear some gripes, you're going to hear some negatives throughout the video, but I do want to make sure you know that overall, I actually really like these figures and I really like the idea of them. None of these figures thus far that Heavy Armor Toys has released are named characters. They're all troopers. The idea is that you can buy a bunch and fill in your ranks wherever you need to. Most specifically, I think they came to really be known for their Navy, in the Navy Kickstarter, where they had a bunch of sailors to deck out your flag with. We'll get to the sailors in just a bit. So what you see here are what I would classify as your basic regular figures. They cost $20 on the website, and that is depending on which ones are available, because they kind of go in and out of stock. Sometimes they sell out. Sometimes he's able to bring a few in. I don't know if any of these are specifically sold out. I haven't checked in a while. But what you get with a basic figure are 2 guns, if you can see them holding their 2 guns, and a helmet. Now, there are 2 figures that don't have a helmet, this guy back here and this guy back here, because they have a built-on hat. He's got his Green Beret hat, and he's got a baseball-style hat over here. And that is everything. They don't even come with a kickstand, they don't come with extra heads, they don't come with extra hands, 2 guns, and a helmet. They are all made with the same, pretty much the exact same parts. There's a lot of different heads here. Let's see if I can bring him a little bit closer so you can see. My camera's having a little bit of focusing issue with so many figures visible here. Let's get a light turned on so we can see him just a little bit better. Isn't that good? So as you can see, it's kind of a ribbed shirt. It's almost like a sweater, and he's got some nice wrinkly pants. Looks a little bit familiar to some of you classic Joe fans, correct? Who does this remind you of? I know who it reminds me of, and I'm pretty sure I know who it's based off of. The figure is a pretty good figure. It's a, well, let's take off the helmet there. It's, I wouldn't say it's like a tight O-ring, but it's a, I don't know, it's bendy. You can pull it out. Definitely not like Super 7. Super 7 has a really tight O-ring. Let's make sure he's focused here just one moment. All right, so this is what the basic figure, all these figures back here have the same parts. It's just they're painted different. Over here on the right side, you've got a trigger finger, and we will definitely be talking about that trigger finger as we go. The left hand has a normal, is it Kung Fu grip? I don't remember exactly. It's just a little C-shaped hand right there. Now, the difference between these O-ring figures and classic O-ring figures is they have wrist articulation. You can rotate, and that actually helps for gun posing, gun holding. These figures do have a small problem. Okay, specifically these ones, I would classify it as a small problem, not a big problem, but you don't notice as much as some of the others, and that is I'm not really sure if it's the O-ring or the T-hook in there, but the figure tends to kind of like the torso jets up this direction a little bit. And if you look in here and I'm not going to take this figure apart, but the T-hook is kind of in that pose. And yes, I did just push it that way. But if it didn't have a natural inclination to go that way, it wouldn't go that way. So a lot of the figures don't, they kind of want to jerk this way. The reason it's not so bad on these figures is because they have the suspenders here on them. And when you put it into place, even though it's actually not locked in there, the suspender pieces that are molded onto, not molded, but part of the torso design, kind of help it stay in place long enough for you to get a pose out of it. But once you like bump the thing, then it pops right up. So, as I said, I really like these figures, but one thing I'd recommend is figuring out this T-hook and O-ring design, because going forward, I think they're going to have to be bandaging up or kind of like band-aiding some of these figures, and I'll get to that also in just a bit. There was a bit of a band-aid for a couple figures. Another thing I noticed is, I don't know, actually, here's a comment. I don't know how well they seat. It's a pretty, see if I can get this in the right spot. So look here at the base. I need 3 hands. Where the torso sits into the waist, I think needs to be a little bit deeper. It's a very shallow seated position, so to speak. And if you look through here, it's really difficult. You can see there's these gaps right here. So it doesn't actually sit into the waist very well, and I think it needs to be a little bit deeper. One thing about these figures is you gotta be careful. On the waist, they've got some pokey belts, and they'll hurt. If you hit them wrong, I can't get close enough for you to really see it, but it'll hurt on the front and on the back. Yeah, just checking. So you got to be careful about that. So here are what the guns look like, so you can see them. They all come with the same 2 guns, and so you got this one, and you got this one. Whoa, that was cool. And you got this one right there. Of these 2 guns, I like this one the most because it has a thick enough handle that it actually, for the most part, stays in the figure's hands. You can put it in the hand and it kind of stays there. It's difficult for it to fall out, either hand. So you can, I mean, because you're going to grab these figures and yank them and throw them around all day, right? However, the other gun has a problem. Besides the fact that they actually feel kind of fragile, I don't know how much I want to bend these things. It feels like they're going to snap if you're not careful. This one's actually better. I need to use one of the ones back here, but you'll see pretty quickly. This one, well, like I said, this is actually better than the other ones. The problem is here, as I mentioned, with the trigger finger, you got this trigger finger there, and you got a hole there for a finger to go into, right? Well, when you tuck it in, the finger doesn't actually go in that hole. It kind of just is up next to it, which is fine. I mean, it looks good, and it looks okay, but it doesn't, because of that, and the way the figure is holding it, it tends to be pretty loose. And let me grab, let's grab this guy right here. These are troopers, by the way. So all the ones back here, let's see. So this guy is actually called Commando. And this one, and all the ones that look like it, this one, that guy, and that guy, these are all troopers with different colors of hair, different skin colors. So let's get this gun out of the way. This is definitely, whoa, get my light out of your face. So by tucking this one in here, see how it just fell right on out? Tuck it in here, and it actually holds on the best if you put that little hole where the finger goes above the finger. But even still, when you try to line it up, and you can't really shove it in there, and it holds it a little bit better, but it doesn't take much to just knock this thing. Oh, sure. So on camera, it likes to make me a liar. So quick, take a picture, save the screenshot. This is how you have the figure hold this weapon. If you put it in this one, there's definitely nothing to hold it on, and it just likes to move around. I think part of the problem is the handle is way too thin. This needs to be a thicker handle, and then it will fit in these hands really well. And I like the design. I like the look of that gun. It needs to be a little bit thicker. So again, getting this guy to stand here, you'll see how he kind of stands up that way, unless you, by natural pose, unless you pull that torso down, then he stands pretty good. But just one swing, and this is where the natural pose is at. Oh my goodness. There we go. Knocking my light around. This is where that natural pose wants to go. So I think this is going to need to be figured out at some point soon. So anyway, here's one of the troopers. You can see what he looks like. Light green shirt, a little bit darker green pants. We'll bring him in. Also, the helmets, that didn't take much, don't sit on the head very well either. I mean, if you're going to stand these guys up and display them, sure, it's good. But if you want to do anything, they're not like, they don't hook on. If there was a little tab system, a little, I don't know, maybe a little dot molded into each side, and it would kind of hook on there. That'd be great. So then it would hold on just fine. But here's this guy, and they all kind of resemble old Real American Hero characters. This guy needed to have different weapons to match who he was supposed to look like. Then we got this one. That helmet fits on pretty good. Gotta make sure I'm in the right focus area. Yeah, like I said, these are really cool. I like the idea. I think these are generally put together very well. And I've actually kind of gone off track a little bit. So these two right here, these are what I would classify as Wave 1, Assortment 1, Drop number 1. These are the first two figures they released. Oh, shoot. This is 2025. I think this was like, was it fall of 2023 that these two came out? So you can see who they resemble. Now this helmet really has some issues. It doesn't, because these goggles on here, they really don't, it doesn't really like to stay on at all. See, like, I'm not pulling it, say. Just a nice little movement, and this helmet falls like right off. It cannot stay. I'm guessing you can figure out who this resembles, right? Alright, sorry, this is a little bit different kind of review. This is an overall discussion of heavy armor toys. And so all of these right here, let's grab these guys. And these are what I would classify as like Wave 2, Assortment 2, Drop 2 right here. So getting these guys back where they belong. The gun's falling out. See, it's this one. This is the gun that always falls out of the hands. You can guess who this might resemble. This actually would probably resemble more of a comic book character than an actual figure that was released. And I like it. I like this one a lot. This is almost like something we never got. He's a little bit different. This is the Commander. And if you notice, he's all the same color. It's not really forest green. He's definitely a different green color. This is like a blue-green color, and this is definitely a green color. Can I say green any more times? Not a removable hat. Oh, and the articulation for the neck is similar to the little ball joint with little tab wings on it. So like the original, not the original, like 86 onward of A Real American Hero, 85, 86. But the difference is these are actually on a peg. So the neck and the head system is actually two different parts. You have the neck and then you have the head. And the head's on a ball joint. And you could, in theory, pop these off, but the heads are very difficult. You might need to use a hairdryer or soak it in hot water to pop off the heads, and then you can swap some heads around. Let's get over here. Now, this is actually what I would call Wave 3, Drop 3, Assortment 3, and this is actually very recent. These are really recent. These are actually since the Kickstarter. Kickstarter fulfilled, earlier this year. I think Kickstarter was in 2024, last year. This is, according to the website, African American Trooper, and this is Green Beret. These are also in the $20 range, if I remember correctly. Let's pull off these accessories and the hat. Again, it's the same color of uniform as this guy. And I like it. I like that we're getting a lot of the same looking figures in just different heads. It's actually, these are the same head. That was funny enough. Same head, just recolored. But I like how we're getting some of the same looking figures, different heads. That way, if you buy like 10 of each of these and you don't have the same looking guy all over the place, I think that's pretty neat. These are a little bit, I said I really like them, and I really do. And then I come up, but I think I need to share the problems that I have with all of you so you understand. These can be a little bit difficult to stand. They have a little bit wider, rounder feet there. They do have a peg. Some of these figures do have a figure stand, and I think it'd be kind of cool if Heavy Armor Toys would maybe sell a figure stand pack, because all these ones that I've shown you thus far don't come with figure stands. So far, it's only the Kickstarter figures that have the figure stand. But you have the ability. They all do have a hole in the back for backpacks. There are no Heavy Armor backpacks yet. And I don't know if they will come in the future. Actually, no, that's not true. Their current Kickstarter, if I remember correctly, I think I did see some backpacks. So maybe tooling up some backpacks. I say it's so easy, like it's not expensive to tool something for action figures, right? Just come on, just go do it. Just do it, guys. Get it done. Green Beret, I'm sure you know who this looks like. And there is definitely their own flavor. They have a familiar look, but they definitely look like somebody else's figures. They have a unique look to them in their design, and I like that. So it means it won't be confused, but I'm enjoying these figures. I like this one. Although I'm curious, the waist has like no camo. So it's like camo-less, and it's like this just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking into it. Maybe he needs like one piece of camo like on one of the sides of the back of the waist piece. I think this might be one of my favorite ones so far. Actually, I know which ones are my favorite. This is definitely maybe number 3. It might be tied for number 2. I like Green Beret right here. All right, so we've had a battle. We have had a war, and I don't know. It doesn't look great. I'm going to scoot these figures off to the side here real quick. The next ones we are going to get into are the Kickstarter figures. And that is, if you remember, if you even knew about it, the In the Navy Kickstarter. And this gun goes right there. So in the Navy, we had some soldiers. We had some sailors. So we had a series of sailors, and we're going to discuss this guy's issue here in just a moment, because he is almost impossible to get straight. He is pretty much stuck in this kind of like odd upward looking position, like he's trying to find a flag to salute. You also have, I can't reach him. This guy and this guy right here. Let's scoot these back just a little bit because I'm going to need some more room. And we got this guy. And there are several varieties of this guy, so I'll bring them all in. Maybe I'll have to scoot them back further. So this is the general gist of the Kickstarter right there. You got a bunch of sailors. You got some flight deck crew. You have a SEAL and a Seabee. Now, if you want to buy any of these figures off of their website, they are $22, and they have some different items that they come with, if you notice. So these two guys come with a single weapon. They all come with a figure stand, if you hadn't noticed that. The flight deck crew over here, they come with two little batons that guide airplanes into where they need to be. And the sailors come with just a whole pile of things that we'll get to when I get to sailors. Also, not the Marine. I want to say Marine every time I see this green guy. The Seabee comes with a secondary head that will set right there. But essentially, these guys come with a whole lot of different things. Let's scoot some of these off to the side, and we'll get back to them in just a bit. Let's talk about the sailors, because the whole Kickstarter was about the sailors. And let's turn that light off. It's about to die. So the sailors, I've got a bunch of things here to look at and bring in. Give me just a moment as I grab all of their stuff. And I do mean all of their stuff. So I've got 4 of them here. Shoot, I should have grabbed some figure stands to make them stand, but I didn't. So we're going to have a whole bunch of these guys that are kind of looking a little awkward here. Oh, it's yeah, they're rough. They for Kickstarter figures, they're a bit rough in. Yeah. Anyway, I'll talk to you a minute here about a fix. So anyway, here we have the In the Navy Sailors Kickstarter, and each of these figures come with a bunch of things. They come with this gun right here. Let's see if I can get you focused in. They come with this gun right there. They each come with a figure stand, as I mentioned earlier. They all come with a dark skin tone neck, so you can swap out. If you want to swap the heads, well, you don't want to put a dark skin tone face on a light skin tone neck. So this is a replaceable neck, and it's really actually cool. You can see what I mentioned, how it's got the kind of the ball joint wings, and then there's a ball joint up here for the head, so you can keep the neck in while you swap some of the heads. So that's interesting. Along with that, you have a set of hands. Dark skin tone hands, you would need to do that again because you don't want them to have light skin tone hands with a dark skin tone face. And then they come with a pile of heads. And I don't know how to do this really well. I was going to see if I can't do a side-by-side comparison. No. Tried to hold 2 heads with 1 set of tweezers. And by golly, I'm going to actually try and do that one more time, but slightly different. All right, so, I don't think that's going to work because gravity wants the... Anyway, so there's a difference between... You get 2 dark skin heads, you get a whole bunch of light skin heads, but there is actually a difference here. Where'd my light go? I want to turn my light back on because I'm going to need that light, at least for a moment here. So if you see that head, look at the eyes. The eyes have whites. And if you look at this one, the eyes don't have the whites there. So you get a set of heads that have whites in the eyes, and you get a set of heads that don't have whites in the eyes. So let's grab this one right here, and you can see it as well. So again, it's actually pretty bright. Let's actually went out of focus, I think, but we'll need to turn off the light, I think, on this one. Yeah, there we go. So you can see it, I think, pretty good. There is whites in that eye, and there is no whites in that eye. And the same over here, the head that's on the figure has whites in the eye, and this one has no whites in the eye. That's a lot of stuff apparently we care about. But anyway, if you like it, you have a choice of whites or no whites. And every single sailor has all of those accessories. It's a pile of accessories. All right, so let's bring in the CB over here. Oh, no. There's one more thing that I want to mention about these sailors. So why are there 4? I've got 4 of them here because these are actually unique figures, believe it or not. This one right here, we'll bring him a little bit closer and get him into focus. So if you notice right here on his left sleeve, there is no symbol. Where's this light again? I keep turning it off, thinking I don't need it anymore. But there's no symbol and no logo, patch, information, rank insignia, whatever you want to call it, on his left arm. This one has one right there. This represents Petty Officer 3rd Class, and it's got just one little, this is chevron line. And then we got this guy over here that even though it's kind of blurred, those are actually 2 lines representing Petty Officer 2nd Class. And we've got another one over here, and believe it or not, if you can see it really well, this is 3 lines. Are they chevrons? You'll have to correct me in the comments below. I can't remember if these are actually chevrons when they go like that. I mean, of course, Chevron gas station. I'm on track here. So anyway, this is Petty Officer 1st Class. So these are printed on, they're not stickers. So yeah, these are actually 4 unique figures. Isn't that kind of cool? You can get a whole bunch of various different ranked officers. So I'm going to set these Navy guys off to the side. You can see what their problem is. Let's bring in the CB because he has the exact same problem as well. The reason is because it's the exact same parts. This is everything except for the head, actually, and maybe the lower legs, maybe all the legs. But anyway, they have the exact same problem here in that it's hard to get them. See, if I move it down, well, there we go. Oh, it wants to go back up. If I move this down, it wants to go back up. The reason is it's all completely smooth around the base of the torso. Unlike these guys back here, there's nothing molded onto the side of the torso that actually kind of temporarily will hold, well, that actually worked. Will hold it into, but not for very long, hold it into place. And so they had to send out, well, they didn't have to, they could have just left it as is, but they chose Heavy Armor Toys, try saying that 3 times faster, whatever. They chose to recreate the torsos, and they sent them out to people who backed these or bought these or whatever, and there is a difference here. So I'm going to work on this sailor. I'm going to tear him apart, and you can also see what the inside of this looks like as well, because I find the inside a little bit interesting, and not being a toy designer specifically, I can't tell you exactly. I just know from opening up old G.I. Joe figures some things. So what's interesting is when you open up this figure, the manufacturing plant, the people, if these are handmade, it's really interesting because they shove the O-ring back, way, way back under this little neck area here. And if you look at it, it's hard to tell, but this is really twisted. If you see how twisted this band is, it's like really like cockeyed, twisted. And so that's the problem, because this thing is trying to go back up to a more natural position. I think you could actually say the O-ring might be too tight, but I compared the T-hook with a older figure and some of the other figures, and the T-hook is also is a different shape, and I think that needs to be modified as well. But yeah, when you try to straighten it out, it really bends that O-ring, and so then it's trying to go back to that natural position that way right there. There's also, I noticed that when you put the head and the arm in here, it like really covers the upper portion of the O-ring. I think the O-ring, this thing right here, is too high. It needs to be a little bit lower down here, because it's just very crowded around this arm and neck, to the point where when you move the neck back and forth, it's actually rubbing on that O-ring. Well, let me phrase that. It's rubbing on the O-ring if it's out, because when you take this thing out, see how stuck it is? It's just shoved back up in there. When you do take it out, and I'm sure some of you will take these apart and so forth, when you go to put it back in there, it stays forward. So unless you're going to actually shove it back in there and tuck it in, it's going to stay forward, like so. And then when you put this neck in there, and you rotate it back and forth, this is literally right on that O-ring, and it's going to be wearing that down. Every time you move this back and forth, it's going to be wearing that O-ring down. So I think this O-ring placement is too high, might be too thick of an O-ring, a few different things. I'm not quite sure what it is exactly. But this does not fix all of that. Everything is still designed the same way. Oh, I remember what I was going to show you. Let me put this back together here real quick. I was going to show you the actual difference from the new piece to the old piece. So if you can see right here, get this a little bit closer here. Focus in. So if you can see the difference there, the one on the left is the old one, the one on the right's the new one. You can see there's this little ridge that's been added in, and it's just let's try and get these flat lined up. It's just a little bit deeper. What did I say earlier? It needs to be just a little bit deeper. It needs to sit down in there, in that waist, just a little bit better. And this does. So let's make a fool of myself and try to reassemble this figure. See, I'm not gonna shove this thing back under that neck area. I am going to just put this back together like I would a regular O-ring style figure, and I'm gonna have a little bit of problems the whole way through, because the arms don't like to actually stay in there like I'm used to with, say, G.I. Joe figures. They just don't. It's actually kind of difficult to do this. So I'm going to stop talking for a second and concentrate. There we go. So apparently my light over here died on the right side. Let's see if we can continue. This is actually a pretty long video for these lights. Oh my goodness, yeah. So it's like fighting for room in there with that O-ring. And making sure that other things, there we go. There we go. I got it. It's in. Quick, quick, quick. Get that screw. Shove it in there and get it screwed in. There we go. This is the first time I'm putting this together. I actually have not tried doing this, like putting the screw from the other one back in, because this new one did not come with it, and it's very tight. Actually, that's interesting. I don't know if it did something funny, but it's like, it's still gapping. But I don't want to over screw it. I don't want to like strip it out, but that's yeah, here I need a little bit more room. Yeah, that's as tight as it wants to go. But that's funny. That's interesting. There's like this gapping. It's like still really loose. Anyway, and the head's like crazy loose too. Anyway, I might have to play around with this off camera and see where I get with it. But anyway, if you notice now, let's bring in Sailor Boy, second class petty officer, trying to get him straightened up, and I can't. I just can't get him straightened up. Can't quite get him to stand either. There we go. There we go. He's like some sort of a model pose. But now, with that, it'll click into place, and he can stand perfectly straight. From what I understand, all the figures that are being purchased now between Sailors and CB will have this new part already on the figure, so you don't have to worry about it when you order and receive that figure. They will be ready to go like this. Essentially what happens is it's allowing the ridge is there to kind of click it into place. It's not solving the problem of T-hook and O-ring. That still is there. If I unhook it from in there, and he's like still up there, it's still trying to go back to its natural position of being up there. But this will hook it down into place. So just like one good swing, and you can see it's already trying to lift its way up. A little bit concerned about why it's not like, might have to play around with that. It might not be a proper screw hole for that screw. I think I remember hearing a comment that all these figures actually use different screws, different size screws. I think somebody was asking about the screws. I think it was these figures. Might have been somebody else, but I thought it was these ones, and the response was they all use something slightly different. But I could be wrong. Correct me if you're the guy who makes these and I'm saying something wrong. Please correct me. Please correct me anywhere that I'm wrong. I will pin your comment. So it's like an addendum to what I'm saying, since I don't fully know what I'm saying. I'm just making an opinionated review here. So as I said, some of these have swappable heads, and let's get this gun out of the way because I think I'm going to break it. Yeah, just trying to... I can't just pull the head off. Oh, shoot, I did. Oh, shoot, I did. I actually thought I broke something there for a second. Okay, I got it off, and that's what he looks like. Because I like the whites in the eye, so the... Oh, shoot, that's not gonna... Yeah, I'm definitely gonna need heat. You can see the difference in size. I don't think I'm gonna get this. CB may be without a head for the rest of the video. I don't think I can get it back on either head. Well, shoot. Maybe I can. Let's do this. He's got a flat top, right? Oh, shoot. Look at that. I did it. Whoa, I didn't think I would. Maybe that's soft. Whoa. Okay. Cool. Let's go. Yeah, I like that head. So much better. So, should we fix him up real quick? Do a quick surgery. O-ring action figure surgery. It's the exact same torso as the Sailor. Whoa, no, don't go away. Don't go away. Pop them apart. Same thing inside. This will be a lot easier because I'm not actually explaining any of this. I'm just doing it. Actually, it might be a little bit still slow because... like, the arms don't hook in. Like, with G.I. Joe figures, the arms actually hooked into the sockets. Made it really easy to customize. These arms, they, like, the nubs, they just don't hook down in there. The O-ring is in the way. Shoot, I just dropped the front of the torso. There we go. That was a quick grab. So, yeah. Trying to put this thing on with an O-ring that wants to like bend back to natural position, natural rubber position, and arms that don't want to hook in there. Not the easiest. Then trying to get a head in there. There we go. Ooh, got it. Shoot, where'd the screw go? There's the screw. How well will this screw... I mean, let's just take a moment. Look, like, that's a huge screw. That's a massive screw right there. Okay. Guess that's the position we're starting it at. This was a whole lot deeper, I thought. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna... I don't know. Feels like it's gonna strip this out before it's gonna tighten. Yeah. That's as tight as I can get that screw. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a bit of a problem. I'll have to go online to see if anyone else has had some issues there. But you can see there's definitely a gap there. The head is crazy loose. I might have to investigate this. Like I said, this is the first time I did this. I don't know if it's a whole screw hole sizing issue. Like maybe they made the holes smaller. It looks like they're just as deep. Actually, probably be good if these screws had a tip on it. These have a flat end to it. I'm not really sure. I'm going to have to investigate this one. I'm going to remind you what I said at the very beginning. I like these figures. I really like them, and I really like the idea. Yeah, that's as tight as I can get it without feeling like I'm going to strip something. So it's not going to... Man, these are not going in all the way. Oh, that's unfortunate. I think with a few little tweaks and a few little fixes, these will be amazing figures. I did not mean for that to sound as negative as it did sound. These are pretty good because they're kind of ready to go with the little straps that kind of help hold the torso in place. But again, they do flick up. Every single one of these figures has a problem. Every one. I know that it's been said that there's only these, the Sailor and the CB are the only one with the problem. They all actually have the problem. It's just easier to hide with these troop guys that have the ribbed torso. Also, it's easy to hide with this one right here because, let's take this gun off. This gun's actually, well, it's loose as well, but it helps if you have two hands holding it in. It also is like the ribbed ones where there's spots on it that help hold it down, but this guy also has that same problem, just not, for some reason, not to that degree. I can move him around, and he generally stays where he needs to be. So, but it does have the same problem. It just doesn't pop up as easily. This is the seal, by the way. All right, let's move. Like I skip right over the seal. Let's admire and look at him for a moment, and then we will jump over and look at the flight deck crew. I like the camo. I think the camo on this guy. I like the hat. I think this is a pretty nice looking figure. This is a good one. This is a good one. Let's look at a flight deck crew. Now, the flight deck crew also has a little pile of accessories. This, again, these have the exact same problem. So if you look at that, he's kind of looking off to the side just a little bit. Same problem. They all have the problem. But his torso has this little line belt thing around it, so you can kind of fake it by tucking it in there. And once you do, set it, display it. Don't ever touch it. You won't have a problem. If you're like me, you're going to get it, and you're going to start moving around and doing stuff, and you're going to see it all the time. Which, I think things shouldn't be made for display. They should be made for display and play. Because then, because this is something that's going to be bothering me. I'm going to see it all the time. He's got these little wands. They all do. They're the same color. And he comes with a few accessories as well. I've made a mess here. It's all over the place. So he comes with, and I'm not really sure why, but he comes with an extra light-colored skinned neck. I don't know why. The best I can figure is maybe it's a slightly different color than the neck there. Maybe. He does come with a dark-skinned neck, which is good because he also comes with a dark-skinned head with helmet. They all do. The green, I'm not going to show them to you, and the yellow, because you see them all right there. So you've got these three. You have yellow, red, and green, also referred to as condiments of sorts. And look, and this guy, you can see he's got the problem right there. Just tap him. He's got the problem. Not quite as strong of a problem, maybe. But these are pretty cool. The one thing I love these figures. I really like these figures, and I'm not trying to convince myself. I'm trying to convince you that I truly do. I really do like these figures. The necks are a little bit long. I wish the head sat down a little bit more on them, but some of these figures do look like they have some long necks. But this is the flight deck crew. Now, this was the last Kickstarter. The sailors, the flight deck crew, the CB, right there, and the seal. That was the last Kickstarter. Now, Heavy Armor Toys is doing another Kickstarter, and it is called the International Freedom Force, and there's a few figures here. So let's take a look here. I'm going to pull up some screenshots so you can see. These are the 4 figures that are currently, these are the base funding figures. As you can see, the goal is $60,000 for these 4 figures. And it looks, they look kind of cool, if you ask me. Let's flip through and look at each of these. So we've got the USAF Pararescue. And some says some details might change. He comes with, according to this digital render, 2 guns, looks like a rifle and a handgun. And he looks good. He's got the same trigger finger on the right hand, no trigger finger on the left hand. Looks very similar to a lot of these others. These ones, as of yet, none of the Heavy Armor toy figures have come on a card. They've all come in little baggies. And I'll show you one here. I'll knock these guys back. So they've always come in these baggies with just a pile of accessories. Some people don't need all the extravagant card. They're going to open these things. So, but this is a little example of the interchangeable snap-on, stay-on accessories. Interesting. But they are going to come on card according to what it looks like here. Then we have the Terror Trooper. Includes dark skin, toned head, and hands. Just reading what it says here. So look at that. He does have a backpack. He does have a rifle, set of hands, and a secondary head. And looks like he also will have a helmet. I'm going to guess these all will also come with figure stands. So there's that as well. Then we get the Australian ODF. And I know I've heard of ODF before, but I can't quite remember what ODF stands for. F is fighter, I'm pretty sure. But this is a neat looking one. He comes with a rifle and a backpack as well. So I like his hat. I think his hat is actually pretty cool. Number 4 is the SAS Commando. And he's got a pile of stuff. A grappling hook, a submachine gun, a handgun. And I don't know if that's like a mask that's on his head that you can pull off or not. But it looks like his head is hidden. So only one skin color. There's no skin color, no skin tone, so it doesn't matter. Then there are some stretch goals. At 64,000, there'll be an Army Ranger, and this guy is really cool. This is something I probably would have been anxious for earlier, but we're going to get it as a stretch goal. You have a camel face and a light skin tone face. There's a helmet. I would be curious to know if the Army hat is removable or if it's only, the helmet's only for the non-camel face. I think having the helmet on the camoed face would be cool. You get some sort of a rifle and a backpack. And actually that looks like the Australian ODF. No, it looks like the Terror Troop torso. So it looks like a repaint of the Terror Troop. Stretch goal 2. This is ambitious. 78,000. It's a female USAF combat controller. Or you want to call her Bomb Strike. You could do that too. She comes with a radio, a machine gun it looks like, and a backpack. So this is definitely all new sculpt. And the pants, maybe the legs and the waist might be previously sculpted, but I don't know. Then you have stretch goal number 3, 82,000. You have squad leader, red beret, and he's very dark green camoed. Looks like another repaint of the Terror Troop, backpack, and a rifle. Then I think this is the last one, stretch goal number 4, 92,000. There is a British commando, and he's got the ribbed, actually, I was going to say he's got the ribbed, repainted torso, but there are no, I'm looking around at the other figures, there's no suspenders or web gear on this guy, so it's definitely a new ribbed type of design. It looks like it might be mostly new. The pants, waist might be redone, rifle, and yep, that is it. So, they are currently funding for these International Freedom Force figures now, and if you like those designs, if you like any of these figures that you've seen here, then, I'd say go for it. Back that. I'm going to be I am backing. I backed it on day 1, if I remember right. I like these figures. I really do. I think there's a couple things that need to be worked on, and these will be amazing troop building figures. These are they're really cool. And, oh, my light popped back on for a minute. And I think, yeah, these are really awesome. Definitely got to figure out this whole screw issue thing. Why I can't screw them in far enough. I have to ask around in the community, see if anybody else has had these kind of problems with these new torsos. But anyway, this is Heavy Armor Toys. There's a lot of them. I will be continuing to cover these in the future, hopefully more timely when they... It's interesting. They release some figures on the website, then they do Kickstarters for some. I get a little bit confused at what the difference is, unless the Kickstarters is simply to get fun new tooling, and that's probably what it is. However, the first couple figures, I guess, were tooled on his own, but I'm not quite sure. I mean, they just released on the website. But either way, I'm glad to have these, and I'm excited, and I can't wait for more. Just gotta fix that T-hook and O-ring issue, and then these will be really, really good. Oh no, someday we might need some replacement torsos for some of these other figures, because these flight decks really bug me. They keep popping up, and I don't want them always looking left. Anyway, thank you for stopping by. I will see you in the next one.